Welcome to my channel Super Rare Coins. Today is best top 3 coins. Please don't skip this video. So let's get it started. The 1 franc coin of 1964 belongs to the early years of the French Fifth Republic, which had been established in 1958 after a period of political turbulence. General Charles de Gaulle as president spearheaded reforms that strengthened the presidency and stabilized France's political system. Currency reform was a crucial part of this effort, and in 1960 the nouveau franc, new franc, was introduced with 1 new franc equal to 100 old francs. The 1964 issue represents one of the earliest circulating coins of this new stabilized monetary system, making it both historically and numismatically significant. The coin was minted by the Monnaie de Paris, Paris Mint, and struck in nickel, a metal known for its durability, silvery sheen, and resistance to corrosion. Measuring 24 mm in diameter and weighing 6 grams, it was a modestly sized coin, slightly smaller than the later 2 franc piece, but larger than the tiny 50 centimes. Its smooth edge was characteristic of this denomination, and the coin's bright appearance when freshly struck gave it a modern, clean look that distinguished it from the older, duller alloys of pre-reform French coinage. The obverse design of the 1964 1 franc coin features the allegorical figure of La Semeuse, the sower, one of the most enduring icons in French numismatics. She is depicted in flowing robes, scattering seeds with her right hand as she strides forward with the sun's rays shining in the background. This image, originally designed by Oscar Roty in 1897, symbolizes agricultural fertility, progress, and renewal. By reviving Roty's sower, for the modern franc, France linked its new currency to both tradition and forward-looking ideals. La Semeuse embodied the dignity of labor, the nurturing of the land, and the hope of prosperity, values that were deeply important to a country recovering from post-war challenges and entering a new economic era. On the reverse, the design is simpler but equally symbolic. The central inscription reads, 1 franc, with the date, 1964, directly beneath it. Surrounding the denomination is a wreath composed of olive branches and oak leaves, traditional emblems in French symbolism. The olive branch represents peace, harmony, and diplomacy, while the oak leaves stand for strength, resilience, and endurance. Together, they reinforce the message that the new French Republic sought both stability and growth. Above the denomination runs the national motto, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, liberty, equality, fraternity, the guiding principle of the Republic since the French Revolution. The mintage of the 1964 1 franc coin was significant as the denomination was widely needed for everyday transactions. Millions of pieces were struck and entered circulation, ensuring that nearly every French citizen encountered the coin in daily commerce, whether used for small purchases in cafés, markets, or transport. The 1 franc coin was an indispensable part of the French monetary system during the 1960s and 1970s. Despite the high mintage, its importance lies in its representation of an early Fifth Republic monetary issue rather than rarity. However, examples in pristine, uncirculated condition or in official proof sets from the Monnaie de Paris are far scarcer and much more sought after by collectors today. The historical context of 1964 further enhances this coin's importance. France at the time was asserting its independence on the world stage, pursuing its own foreign policy direction under de Gaulle and strengthening its industrial and agricultural sectors. The franc itself was a symbol of national sovereignty, particularly in the wake of the economic instability of the 1950s. For the French public, the 1 franc coin was a reassuringly modern, stable, and trustworthy unit of money, contrasting sharply with the weakened old franc of the earlier decades. From a cultural perspective, the 1964 1 franc coin carried deep symbolism. The choice of La Semeuse tied French currency to the rural and agricultural roots of the nation, reminding urban and rural citizens alike of the dignity of labor and the eternal connection between the land and prosperity. The oak and olive wreath on the reverse echoed France's dual identity as both a country of strong traditions and a diplomatic leader in post-war Europe. Thus, this small coin, often exchanged in modest transactions, carried within it profound national meaning. In terms of numismatic value today, the 1964 1 franc coin is relatively common in circulated condition due to its large mintage. Most surviving examples are worn, bearing scratches and dull surfaces from decades of use. In such circulated grades, their market value is low, often close to their historical face value. However, coins preserved in brilliant uncirculated or proof condition are much more collectible. A perfectly struck lustrous specimen can command a premium, especially for collectors assembling complete sets of the Fifth Republic franc series. The artistry of the design deserves special attention. Oscar Roty's sower was not merely decorative but philosophical. The image of sowing seeds was symbolic of both the literal fertility of the French countryside and the metaphorical sowing of ideas, values, and progress into the soil of the Republic. The rising sun behind the figure reinforced this theme of renewal and optimism. At a time when France was modernizing rapidly, this design bridged past and present, reminding citizens of their heritage while pointing toward a brighter future. The enduring legacy of the 1964 1 franc coin is visible even after the adoption of the euro in 2002. Many French citizens remember it nostalgically as part of their daily lives, and it remains a favorite among collectors worldwide. While not rare, its beauty, symbolism, and historical context make it far more than a simple monetary token. It is a miniature work of art and a document of French identity in the 1960s. Next, the 1977 French 1 franc coin belongs to the long-running Fifth Republic decimal coinage series of France, which had been introduced in the wake of the major currency reforms of 1959-1960 when the nouveau franc, new franc, replaced the older inflated franc at a rate of 100 to 1. This coin, like many others of its type, was minted by the Monnaie de Paris, the Paris Mint, the historic institution responsible for striking French coinage since the Middle Ages. By the late 1970s, the 1 franc coin was one of the most common and widely handled denominations in French daily life, a small but indispensable unit of exchange that bridged the gap between minor bronze coins and the larger, more prestigious silver-colored pieces in the French wallet. In terms of physical specifications, the 1977 1 franc coin was made of nickel, giving it a bright silvery white appearance. Unlike bronze or copper coins, nickel had the advantage of durability and resistance to corrosion, which was essential for coins in heavy circulation. The coin measures 24 millimeters in diameter with a thickness of about 1.6 millimeters and weighs 6 grams, making it solid but not overly heavy. The plain edge is smooth, giving it a sleek profile when compared to the reeded edges of higher denominations. The metal's resilience meant that these coins could remain in circulation for decades without losing legibility, though over time circulation wear dulled the original luster, replacing the bright mint shine with a muted gray patina. The obverse design of the coin features the national personification of France, la semeuse, or the sower. This image, originally created by Oscar Roty in 1897, is one of the most famous and enduring motifs in French numismatics. It depicts a female figure clad in flowing robes and wearing a Phrygian cap, walking to the left while sowing seeds with her right hand. The rays of the rising sun extend behind her, symbolizing renewal, progress, and the enlightenment of the Republic. The design is accompanied by the inscription République Française, encircling the figure along the rim. Roty's sower was first used on silver francs of the Third Republic, and its revival in the 1960s under the Fifth Republic reflected both nostalgia for classical French coin imagery and a strong ideological statement about continuity, labor, and republican values. The reverse of the 1977 1 franc coin carries the denomination and the French national motto. In the center, the large figure 1 franc is boldly inscribed with the date 1977 directly beneath it. Surrounding the denomination are depictions of an olive branch and an oak branch, which symbolize peace and strength, respectively, two complementary ideals central to the modern French state. Encircling the upper rim are the words Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, the revolutionary motto adopted during the French Revolution and still central to French republican identity. The engraving is simple yet striking, with the branches offering a balance of organic form to the otherwise geometric central numerals. In terms of mintage, the 1977 1 franc coin was struck in very large quantities, numbering in the tens of millions. This ensured a broad availability throughout France and its territories, allowing the denomination to serve in everyday purchases, from bakeries to cafes, from bus fares to small household goods. As such, the 1977 issue is not considered rare in numismatic terms, though coins in pristine, uncirculated condition are increasingly harder to find as most pieces endured decades of circulation. The Paris Mint also produced proof and specially struck collector versions in limited numbers, though the majority of surviving 1977 coins are worn circulation examples. The historical context of France in 1977 adds further depth to the story of this coin. The country was under the leadership of President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, whose presidency, 1974-1981, was marked by social liberalization and efforts to modernize France's economy amidst the global challenges of the 1970s. The oil shocks, economic slowdown, and debates over European integration were prominent themes in French political life. Yet in everyday routines, the franc remained a symbol of continuity and stability. The 1 franc coin in particular was a familiar touchstone for all citizens, its face value equivalent to a modest but real purchasing power at the time, enough to buy a baguette or a tram ticket. From a numismatic perspective, the 1977 1 franc holds significance as part of the larger lineage of French coinage bearing the sower design. Collectors often pursue complete runs of 1 franc coins from 1960 through the 1990s, with 1977 being one of the easier years to obtain, though its appeal lies in its role as a representative of the period. The nickel composition makes it relatively resistant to corrosion, so many surviving specimens are still sharp in detail even after years of use. For serious collectors, grading becomes essential. Coins in fleur de coin, FDC, or proof state are prized, while average circulated examples hold more sentimental than monetary value. Culturally, the sower image resonated deeply in French society. To many, she symbolized the agricultural roots of France, the dignity of work, and the renewal of life with each sunrise. At the same time, the branches of oak and olive on the reverse reminded users of France's balance of strength and peace. In a Europe moving towards greater union, such motifs reassured citizens of their national heritage while also representing universal values. For schoolchildren receiving pocket money or for families budgeting in francs during the 1970s, the coin carried both practical and symbolic meaning. Today, the 1977 1 franc coin is a relic of the pre-euro era. With France adopting the euro in 2002, the franc became obsolete and the coins were withdrawn from circulation. Nevertheless, many French households retained a few francs as souvenirs, and collectors across the world continue to study them as part of modern European numismatic history. The 1977 issue, though not rare, is especially interesting to those born or coming of age in that year, making it a popular birth year keepsake. The 1979 French 2 franc coin was issued during the presidency of Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, a period when France was undergoing both political transformation and economic challenges linked to the oil crises of the 1970s. As one of the higher base metal denominations circulating under the franc system, the 2 franc coin occupied an important role in daily French commerce. It was a step above the modest 1 franc coin and often used in cafés, metro fares, and other mid-level purchases. In value, the 2 franc coin gave a sense of being more substantial in the pocket, not only because of its purchasing power but also because of its size and design. From a technical standpoint, the 1979 2 franc coin was struck in nickel, a bright silvery corrosion-resistant metal. This gave the coin a durable quality, ensuring that millions of specimens could survive decades of handling without losing their defining features. The coin measured 26.5 millimeters in diameter, was approximately 2 millimeters thick, and weighed 7.5 grams, making it larger and heavier than the 1 franc piece. The edge was smooth, unlike the reeded or lettered edges of higher value coins. Its metallic composition, bright luster when new, and solid weight gave it a satisfying feel in the hand, reinforcing its identity as an everyday workhorse coin of the French monetary system. The obverse design of the coin is one of the most iconic in modern French numismatics. At the center stands the Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, the revolutionary motto of France, meaning liberty, equality, fraternity. This motto, first proclaimed during the French Revolution in 1789, has remained the moral cornerstone of the Republic across its many forms. On the 2 franc coin, it is boldly displayed to remind citizens that every coin they used was not just a tool of commerce but also a token of their republican values. Surrounding the motto is a wreath made of agricultural motifs, olive branches, oak leaves, and wheat sheaves, symbols of peace, strength, and fertility. This blending of natural imagery reinforced the themes of abundance, national resilience, and the dignity of labor. On the reverse, the denomination is presented with clarity and simplicity. The large numeral 2 dominates the center, accompanied by the word francs, just beneath it with the date 1979 engraved below. Encircling the lower half of the design is a continuation of agricultural motifs, sprigs of wheat and olive branches. The aesthetic is clean and modern, yet rooted in the tradition of French symbolic art. What makes the 2 franc coin's reverse particularly notable is its balance, neither overly cluttered nor starkly minimalistic. It reflects a mid-20th century French design philosophy that sought harmony between classical republican imagery and functional modern currency design. The mintage of the 1979 2 franc coin was high, with the Monnaie de Paris striking tens of millions of pieces for circulation. This ensured that it was one of the most commonly encountered coins in wallets, tills, and coin purses across France in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Because of such wide circulation, surviving specimens are abundant today, and most bear the marks of daily use, scratches, worn edges, and a duller finish compared to their original mint brilliance. However, the Paris Mint also struck a limited number of proof and specimen issues for collectors, featuring mirror-like fields and sharp details. These special strikes, unlike the circulation issues, are considerably scarcer and more desirable to numismatists. The historical context of 1979 adds deeper meaning to this coin. France in the late 1970s was grappling with stagflation, unemployment, and debates about Europe's future integration. Giscard d'Estaing's government pursued economic reforms and pushed for stronger ties within the European community precursors to the eventual euro system that would replace the franc decades later. In this environment, the franc coinage was both a symbol of national sovereignty and a practical tool of everyday life. The 2-franc coin with its bold national motto and agricultural symbolism carried reassuring reminders of stability and continuity amidst economic uncertainty. From a cultural perspective, the 2-franc coin was more than money, it was part of French identity. Children received it as pocket money, workers spent it at cafes for a quick espresso, and travelers clinked it into metro turnstiles. Its agricultural motifs resonated with France's deep rural traditions, while its nickel shine reflected modernity. For many citizens, these small details gave everyday currency a symbolic richness that transcended its face value. In terms of numismatic value today, the 1979 2-franc coin is common in circulated grades. Millions survive in coin collections' attics and drawers as relics of the pre-Euro era. In circulated condition, its market value is typically very low, often no more than face value to a few cents above. However, in uncirculated condition, particularly in fleur de coin (FDC) quality, the coin becomes more appealing to collectors who often seek complete year sets of the French franc series. Proof strikes of 1979, produced in small numbers for collectors, can command much higher premiums. The coin's value thus depends less on rarity and more on condition, provenance, and whether it is part of a proof set. The symbolism of the design remains one of its most important aspects. By placing the motto Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité at the center of the design, the coin directly tied the French Republic's daily commerce to its revolutionary ideals. Meanwhile, the branches of olive and oak carried timeless meanings: peace through diplomacy and resilience through strength. The wheat, an emblem of agriculture, recalled the fertility of the French countryside and the dignity of rural life. These were not just decorative elements but conscious artistic choices that reinforced the connection between state, people, and land. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.